He was famous to me, but he was famous as a dickhead.
Was he treating you nicely?
No, he was a heinous dickhead. Well, and the last straw was when he took a pan of risotto that I had deigned to be perfect and he had deigned to be less than perfect. He grabbed it, he picked it up, and he threw it at me like that. The whole thing, on me.
And you burned, of course.
And then I took 2 big handfuls of salt and went over to the mother sauce and I stirred it in and I walked out.
No way. Food, you're gonna burn.
I'm not gonna burn. We're standing right here. There's 2 of us making one dish.
Fame.
How many times do you go to the White House?
I've been there 4 or 5 times.
Fortune.
Even at a top dollar, you make much more money in a trattoria than you do in a fancy restaurant.
My guest, Mario Batali. The man, the brand, and of course the chef. It's all on the table.
I love parking in New York City.
Well, we both live in New York. New York is a big city. Mario is a downtown guy. I am a midtown guy. We live in the same world, but we don't necessarily bump into each other. Ah,
King of chefs, the chef of kings. What's up, buddy?
What did you bring?
I brought some groceries. I was told we were making lunch together. So I went to my favorite store.
Which one is it? Tell me.
I can't say the name on TV.
Yeah, I have been many times. I didn't see Italy coming. It came out of nowhere. Now he has one in Rome, 3 times the size of Italy in New York. Look what I have,
Italy,
by the way, to welcome you. I think it's one of your favorite cocktails.
This is an Aperol Spritz. You know how to make them?
I made it. I don't know if I know how to make it.
Let's see if you do.
How is it?
It's perfect.
Is it really? Cool.
Not surprising.
So, what did you bring?
I brought calamari.
Yeah, caper.
I brought Israeli couscous.
Israeli couscous was a surprise. So Israeli couscous is considered what, like a pasta?
Yeah, for me it's a pasta.
For you it's a pasta.
Almost never would I ever serve pasta with the protein in a main course. You can always tell when someone's kind of a piker when they're serving chicken with tortellini on the side. The pasta is its own dish. And even if there's spaghetti and meatballs, they would have the spaghetti with the sauce and the meatballs first.
Yeah.
And then they would serve the meatballs as a main course.
And if it's about the bolognese?
Well, the bolognese has meat in it. It's okay to have meat, but not chunks of protein. The dish that we're making is called 2-minute calamari, Sicilian Lifeguard Style. By the time the calamari gets into the game, it'll only take 2 minutes. Okay. Now, I never met a Sicilian lifeguard, but this is how I imagine he or she might make it. And because when you think about the greatness of Italian cooking, it's really micro-regional, like all of the great French cooking.
Yeah.
So Sicily is actually closer to Tunisia than it is to Milan. So the food and flavors are more Northern African than they are, per se, recognizably Italian. There's currants, there's pine nuts, there's scallions, there's a little heat. I brought our world-famous Bobo jalapeno pesto.
Jalapeno pesto?
Taste it, smell it.
I want to taste. Is it very spicy or?
No, it's clean.
Oh, it's nice.
A little punch.
Oh, I like it. How do you know so much about Italy?
I went to high school in Spain, then I went to college in New Jersey, then I worked for the Four Seasons Company on the West Coast, and I realized I wanted to go back to Italy, so I moved to a little town between Bologna and Florence, and I worked in this trattoria about as big as this kitchen.
Let's start cooking.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna make a dish called 2-minute calamari, Sicilian Lifeguard Style.
2-minute calamari.
And in the restaurant, it takes 2 minutes because we have all of our mise en place ready.
Yes.
So the first thing we're gonna make is basic tomato sauce. So if you can cut up half that onion into 1/4-inch dice.
So when you were in Spain, you live in Madrid, right?
Yep.
You travel the country?
All the time.
All the time on a weekend with your parents.
Exactly.
And that gives you a knowledge of Spanish culture and stuff.
Right, and we got to travel. I mean, I was from the West Coast, outside of Seattle. And, you know, the furthest we'd been were the Oregon Dunes to see the sea lions.
Yeah.
And Vancouver to see the Canadians. I think I like the sea lions better, but I do like Canadians. Eric's great. I've always loved him. He's a kind of a Zen master, ninja dude. And having a conversation with someone that's that vetted and that very much confident about what they do is always a blast.
I put it here?
Right in there.
You're gonna burn.
I'm not gonna burn. We're standing right here. There's 2 of us making one dish. If there's a fire today, we're both fired.
Well, he has the habit of being on television, being the darling of the media. Whatever he does, it's a strong statement about what he thinks or about himself, the way he wants to be portrayed.
I certainly shoot the gun often more quickly than I should, but my heart and my imagination are very much intertwined.
Explain to me a little bit your knowledge about the Italian culture.
Well, I grew up as an Italian-American. Oh, my mom was French-Canadian and English, and my dad was Italian. My grandpa, Léon Laframboise, that's his real name.
That's fucking French, really
That's
French.
on my mom's side.
Okay.
He was a French-Canadian. He was a hop farmer.
Yes.
And then on my dad's side, Leonetta Merlino became Leonetta Batali with Armando Batali. And so we always had food, and whether it was Italian or Californian or Washington State or French, didn't really matter to us. We just ate well. And it wasn't like we ate well because we were reading some fancy magazine. We ate well because that's just what we did. Do you want to start cleaning the calamari? Leave the tentacles whole.
Okay.
Take the tubes into...
Something like that? Okay.
Yeah. So now my onions are going here. I've got a little salt in them. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of fresh thyme.
So that's the way you make the tomato sauce?
Yeah, you squeeze them because you still want little pieces.
When did you end up in a kitchen? Did you go to a school?
After I graduated college, I went to the Cordon Bleu.
So you go to Cordon Bleu and you learn...
How to make sole dougleret. You spend the whole day making a dish that no one has made since 1953, right? It's a great dish. You're going to eventually have to make 250 portions.
Yes, and then you think you are a chef.
Right.
So you're in London, obviously you speak English, so it's easy for you. Are you with the family there, or you?
My parents lived there at that time, and I lived around the corner from them, though. My dad worked for Boeing, and after they lived in Madrid, they lived in London for like 7 years, and then they moved back to Seattle.
So you're in London, and then from the culinary school, where did you go?
I worked for Marco Pierre White.
When he was famous?
Before Harvey's. No, he wasn't famous. I mean, he was famous to me, but he was famous as a dickhead.
He was like young and energetic.
And angry. Right. Every day I'd go in there. Every day we'd walk in the kitchen, and then he'd say, all right, here's your challenge today. And there's a 50-pound bag of potatoes, and he goes like this, and he picks it up, and he throws it over his shoulder, because he was strong.
Yeah, the guy is like 6'4". Or
So
6
I tried that every day for like the entire time I worked there, and I could never really make it happen. I'd crumble down like this, go underneath the potatoes, much to his happiness.
Was he treating you nicely? Or you...
No, he was a heinous dickhead. Well, and the last straw was when he took a pan of risotto that I had deigned to be perfect, and he had deigned to be less than perfect. He grabbed it, he picked it up, and he threw it at me like that, the whole thing, on me.
And you burned, of course.
That was more of an emotional burn than a physical burn, because I had a chef coat on.
You opened the jacket?
I opened the jacket, I threw it off, I went in the back. I may have shed a tear.
Oh, that was stiff.
And then I took 2 big handfuls of salt and went over to the mother sauce, and I stirred it in, and I walked out.
No way.
Yep.
You did that?
I did that.
Obviously, he's articulate. We all know that. He speaks English much better than I do. His answers are already much better.
When French fancy chefs retire, they move to a beach town in Italy. Because what they really long for are dishes that aren't about technique, they're all about product.
What is the story of the short pants and the Crocs? Was it a way of making a statement or being provocative?
I don't think that my fashion or lack thereof was intentionally provocative. I think what I realized as an owner of my own place, I could do whatever I wanted, which included playing Led Zeppelin at Volume 7 in the dining room or in the kitchen. But you could wear whatever you want as long as it wasn't dangerous. I mean, clearly, the traditional toque and the dressing is protection. It's protection so that you don't get burnt. So it was just about comfort. It wasn't about fashion. Now, of course, I'm a fashion icon. That was a joke, right? You're supposed to laugh when I say that. There you go. Tomato sauce is done. So we're just going to let it sit here. Now we're going to assemble the dish.
Okay.
So the calamari's prepped.
Yeah.
We're going to take a couple more cloves of garlic.
So you like to smash them, right?
No, I slice them like this. And the idea in Italy, of course, is if you're going to eat garlic, you eat the exact amount of garlic as the people that you want to make out with.
Okay, so we go with the calamari, but I want to try the sauce first.
This is the marinara. Then there's also a cherry tomato one.
Today, Mario was drinking from his jar of tomato, yes, to have fun and make a statement. And again, we were cooking just for ourselves, although many of the crew ate the food after, so hopefully he's okay. It's a good product.
There's acidity, there's sweetness. It's delicious.
6 years ago, you opened Del Posto.
Yes.
Why do you want to open like very fine dining, Italian restaurant? When you have the success of Bobo, everything is going fine for you, you have all those restaurants.
The 2 words that are why we did it are Mark Ladner. If there was going to be a 4-star Italian restaurant in New York City, he was the guy that had the thought process behind it, the technique and the discipline. The other 2 words would be folly and ego. I mean, you get crazy and you're building a restaurant and it's like, why did you build something? Even at a top dollar, you make much more money in a trattoria than you do in a fancy restaurant. We got a resounding, remarkable, flat 3-star review from Frank Bruni, which was a time for us to think about it.
You wanted to go for 4-star. And so
Yeah, that was our
intention. You were disappointed.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it was still good. It was still busy, but it wasn't what it was going to become. So after 2 or 3 more years, Mark Ladner really came into the game.
Tomato sauce looks good.
Tomato sauce is perfect. Now we're ready for the 2-minute part.
Already?
Well,
Hold on, take it easy.
take it easy, baby.
Yeah.
We got a whole aperitivo to
So-
drink. We have to move into our white wine, too.
Oh, fuck. So we drink on the show. I mean, we started today with the aperitif and then with the heat. It goes straight to my head. I mean, it's like a direct connection. Mario seems to be well trained.
You can do
have no
it.
idea. You have
Don't
no
worry.
idea. As a young chef, you have a reputation of being a wild/bad boy.
You mean I've lost it? We go out all the time. It used to be till 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock, or until someone made you go home. You go home earlier now.
And you remember that?
Well, remembering them telling you to go home, that's usually the beginning of the end of the night, and you remember that much. So garlic,
Let me move that out of the way.
pine nuts,
The pine nuts inside, like
Yep.
that? Okay.
and the currants. Now that sweet and
curry-
sour and the nuts is the Sicilian part of it,
Sicilian,
right?
because they use some sweetness, sometimes raisins and things like that.
Right, exactly.
So that's the jalapeno.
Jalapeno pesto.
Pesto,
This is
okay.
jalapenos, red onions, and almonds.
And
all
almonds.
pureed with extra virgin olive oil.
No garlic.
No garlic.
No garlic in it. Okay.
Put a little bit more oil in there, so that's probably 2 teaspoons.
You have done a lot of TV.
Yeah.
You have done a lot of books.
Yep, 9.
How do you manage to do everything at the same time and be happy, actually? Because at the end of the day, it's about being happy.
Well, by nature, I'm happy. I wake up happy every day. I don't wake up
You
in,
wake
in
up
a dark
happy.
crowd. Yeah, I jump out of bed, I'm
Before
excited.
coffee, you're happy.
I'm happy.
Okay.
So the way to do it is time management. I write my books when I'm on vacation or when I'm on a plane. That's the only time I write.
You don't sleep on the plane, huh?
I'm a good sleeper. I can sleep on a long elevator ride. Really good sleep.
Do you snore?
I've been told that if I've been drinking a lot, I snore. But then, of course, it doesn't really matter to me at that point, does it?
No, of course not.
All right. So now...
Should we lower it or we...
No. We should keep it up.
Okay.
So now we're going to add about a cup of that tomato sauce.
Okay.
And we're going to add the caper berries whole,
So that couscous has been...
blanched, and then shot.
You mean in ice water?
Yes,
To
exactly.
stop the cooking.
To stop it completely.
But it's still what? It's still very...
Should have a little chew to it, but it shouldn't be hard. A little wine,
for...
just to thin it out a little bit,
thin
give
it
it a little
out,
structure,
okay.
a little acid, a little sugar.
Well, actually, the couscous brings some thickness, right?
Right, exactly. So it's going to look kind of like a stew. So now we're going to take our calamari,
Yeah.
and we're going to season it aggressively. You're cranking it up to 11.
No. If you want, we go back to 9.
No, I like 11. I like 11.
Hey, listen, we go back to
I
11.
like high heat. Now what we do is we don't stir this in, just let it sit, watch.
Actually, I want to talk about tricks that I learned from you. To keep a little bit of the water when you cook pasta.
Yes.
I had no idea. The French, we drain
put
the
the skull
pasta
across
until
to get it out,
there's
right?
no more water at all.
Right.
Adding a little bit of the water that you cooked the pasta in adds a little bit of starch, so it's a little bit of leason to the pasta, and has a nice, actually, flavor. So I learned that from him. And then the risotto that you don't have to stir all the time.
We put it in the oven, actually, in the restaurants. Started out, 7 minutes, in the oven, 4, back out. I kind of invented it. So then we just stir it through like
Okay, I'll lower it.
No, I like high.
Okay, fine. So you have the chew.
Yes. What do you think of the chew? You haven't been on yet, have you?
I haven't been on it.
Are you ready?
I don't know, I haven't seen it.
I
I
understand
haven't
that.
seen it because it's during the day.
You know, they invented this thing in the 20th century called the YouTube.
Actually, no, I have seen a little bit.
You were being gentle.
No. I saw something that was a bit controversial. Paula Dini.
Ah, yes, she came on and she was making her big announcement.
Comes on the show. Guys like Anthony Bourdain are very animated about it. They think that she's full of shit and she's taking advantage and she's a businesswoman and so on. But she came on your show and she was very welcomed by you guys.
Yes.
So I saw that scene.
It's controversial to people that think that she kind of pulled a scam on America. But when a
She
woman
did.
comes to you
Yeah.
and she's clearly under stress, is your response to her, shut the fuck up, lady? No, you put your arm around her because we're chefs.
So you're compassionate.
We take care of people.
This
we
is
don't,
a sign of
we
compassion.
don't shove people
that
down.
was not a sign of strategy.
No, it wasn't my strategy. I don't have a strategy like that.
He was very sincere in his answers. My gut feeling was like, he's not bullshitting me here.
I wish there was a wall to my private stuff. The beauty and the trouble with me is that I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I am only one guy. I do not have a TV character. I do not have a Twitter character. I do not have a sneaky writer perspective. I only bring to the table what I am, and it's unedited version that people find the real me.
That looks good, actually. That's really good, too.
Why, thank you.
Well, I shouldn't be surprised, but did you put the scallions already? Or?
No, there's some in, the whites, and then the greens we're going to spoon on top. Here, you can scallion.
Okay, let me stop that so it doesn't burn. Although I'm sure when it sticks to the pan, it's
That's the super best part.
right.
When we're done, we'll come back and eat that. We'll leave it right there
so
to kind of get
yeah,
toasty.
Cheers.
Cheers. The Italian toast is Cin-Cin, and the toast is,
Cin-Cin.
you can build it as high as you want,
Okay.
but you build it from our dirt. Cheers.
Cheers. Very nice wine. I'm sure it goes well with that.
Well, let's find out.
This is
Delicious, right?
Yeah, I was excited to have Mario. I know Mario for a long time. He seems to have it together and is very successful. Many people who are successful and are thankful and don't take the success for granted want to give back in a sense. You're also very involved with charity and raising money for children. Or...
There's 1,000 requests for stuff to do all the time. My collective give over 1 year was $1.5 million. It raised that much money, not all at once, in different places and different things. What I realized, though, that there was no focus. When people say, well, what do you support? I'm like, whoever asked me. So I started to think, well, what would be important to me? What's the most important thing? And it's children, innocence.
Yes.
So children's disease research, children's hunger relief, and literacy guarantee.
Not too many people think about that.
Well, a lot of people now in our time, in the 21st century, don't read very much. They read 140 characters. They read a tweet. They read something on the internet. Keep in mind, those who can read and don't have no advantage over those who cannot. Mark Twain, I didn't make that up.
I know Mario for a long time. As we all know, he's super smart. At the end of the day, I think we have the same motivation.
Eric and I discussing anything from philanthropy to fish strategy is where you find where I'm really at.
You're one of the ambassadors of Food Bank. What is a food bank?
Well, Food Bank for New York creates about 400,000 meals a day in New York City, 5 boroughs. Then what I've helped build is something called the Cook Shop, which is a program that teaches children how to make the right decisions when they're shopping in a food pantry and how to understand that some food is better than others for you nutritionally.
Children not knowing when they're going to have their next meal. We cannot accept that. Well, Mario is very involved with Food Bank. I'm very involved with City Harvest. And I think Mario is very emotional about that, exactly the same way that I am. So you really give back a lot.
Yeah, I don't like to think of it as giving back. I like to think of it as just giving. Fundamentally, you don't have to take anything to really understand that you should give.
Lately, you went on food stamp, diet.
Food stamp challenge.
Or you wanted to make a point? What?
At our big event in April, I challenged everyone in the room to try to understand what food stamps is. It's like a credit card. What I wanted to do was raise awareness that they were trying to cut a certain amount. And I mean, $40 billion is a lot of money. The issue is $31 a week per human being in your house is what a food stamp is. That they were going to cut it from something that was already bare bones is a problem, in my opinion. The reason that I did the food stamp challenge was to raise awareness. It was for us and my family. We all went on it.
The entire family?
The whole family.
The kids too?
The kids too.
So you had $125
Exactly.
a week.
There's no question you can live. You may not thrive, but you can definitely survive. We ate okay. And what it meant, you couldn't stop and get a slice of pizza or an ice cream on the way home from school or get an iced tea. You could not have a cappuccino at all. A cappuccino was 2/3 of your day. So hunger awareness is really understanding hunger. Most people don't realize that 1 in 7 in New York rely on some kind of a food bank.
1.5 million New Yorkers live under poverty level.
Exactly.
You're pretty involved with politics.
Right.
Obviously.
Which may be detrimental to my business. Every time you raise your head and talk about it, some people say, oh, you shouldn't have said that. I'm never coming to your restaurant again. I'm like, dude, I'm making you dinner. You don't have to move in with me, and you're certainly not voting for me. But I'm not a politician. I'm about food, I'm about responsibility, I'm about children, I'm about hunger relief.
What pisses you off, really?
Bullies on the playground. People that misuse their influence or their power or their situation to bully over someone who couldn't protect themselves.
So when you see Gordon Ramsay doing a show, Hell's Kitchen, how do you react to that? I'm pissed off at that.
Right, I know, but now you realize he's just playing a role. He's a TV guy. It's like playing the bad guy in Macbeth. Like, that's just the role he's got. I don't think he's like that, honestly. That's my bet.
No comment.
No comment, all right, good. More calamari.
Yes, actually it's delicious.
Thank you.
You have so many success in your life. Is it any failure that you learn a lesson from?
Failure's a word, though, that doesn't really enter into my vocabulary. There are things that are less successful.
I like that.
When you fall forward on your face, you are moving forward.
It's one thing we didn't talk about, is the music.
I love music.
You're passionate about music.
I play guitar, I'm trying to learn banjo, I played trombone when I was
Banjo.
growing up. Banjo, I love the sound of that. American music.
From the South, right?
You mean?
Yeah, you're better than me, yes. Yeah, okay.
And actually, this year what I've done is I've tuned my banjo to be like a guitar because I'm having trouble with the picking, but I'm going to strum it.
Pretty good already.
No, I'm not good, but I can have a good time. I can
You can have a good time. Yeah.
Do you play music?
No, I don't play anything. I love music. My ear is very good, and then suddenly, if I touch an instrument, I suck.
It stops.
Yeah, but
That's very traditional, though.
My grandmother was a violinist, and my father, although he was a banker, played trumpet every night and every weekend in entertainment.
So you have music in you. Like cooking, like anything, as well stated by Gladwell in his Outliers, it takes years of practice to make it look effortless. When you watch an Italian do a kiss and throw their coat over their shoulder like that, it took them 1,000 million tries at the house to throw it over just like that. Now they're badass. They're kissing someone at the train station. It took practice to get there.
You're friend with Bono,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And he's a good eater. I judge celebrities on 3 ways. If they are nice when they walk in the restaurant, if they eat what they order, and if they're nice to the busboys.
I don't like anyone who likes to abuse people who are serving.
Bullying.
Exactly, we go back to that. Listen, I'm very, very happy that you came here today.
Me too. This place is
It
unbelievable.
was delicious. Mario, cheers. I would say salute.
Cin-Cin.
Cin-Cin.
Actually, in the Bobo kitchen, we say it one way. It's at the end of the night. We're just finishing cooking our service, and we usually have quart containers in our hands filled with beer, and you go like that, and you go, Cin-Cin, motherfuckers.
Cin-Cin, motherfucker.
Exactly.
Okay. Before you leave, we have to go sign the board.
That is such a work of art. I am stealing those people away, and that is my next cookbook idea. That is genius. This is so beautiful.
It's really cool, right?
Yeah. This makes me want to order this dish more than seeing a lot of bad kitchen photography.
It's true too. You want to sign?
I'd be delighted.
Here? Okay, I'll go.
Nice. It's very Miro.
Thank you, Mario. So,
Ready?
hold on. Like that, like that.
Now you got the cheers, the chin-chin, you got it all.
I learned a lot today. Thank you. I was expecting Mario to make a pasta or maybe a risotto.
I chose the 2-minute calamari more for the 2 minutes than anything else. The cooking takes our minds off of trying to be on camera and puts us in a place that we're familiar with. So that the dish didn't have to really get in the way was really the reason I chose that. You're cranking it up to 11.
If you want to go back to 9,
No, I like 11. I like 11.
Hey, listen.
I like high heat. All right, it took 2 hours, but we were chatting.
We ended up with Israeli couscous, which became like a pasta with that sauce that he made. And I really liked the calamari, the way he cooked it at the end. This is
Delicious, right?
Yeah, it was a great recipe. A little bit of surprise, which is very good. At the end, I learned a couple of tricks from him again.
Eric and I discussing anything from philanthropy to fish strategy is where you find where I'm really at. When Jim Harrison came in, I went to meet him. When Bono comes in, I went to meet him. And he's a good eater. The format of just sitting across from someone in a desk and answering their questions often doesn't reveal exactly who you are. You get your hands doing something that they become so familiar with that your mind can kind of wander in a way that is a little less harnessed to the exact question. And that's what a good interview is about.
I had a very happy day. The celebrity aspect of the chefs, it's, yes, I mean, we take advantage of it, but it's not a bunch of groupies downstairs waiting and screaming. When I leave Le Bernardin at night, it's very rare that someone acknowledges me. Once a very old lady hugged me like that, and I still talk about it.
Do you ever wonder what it would be like to quit your job and live a life you've always dreamed of?
A bad day in the islands still beats a good day in the office.
Join me, Savannah Jane Buffett, as I head to St. Croix to meet Nate Olive, an expat from Atlanta who moved down here to follow his passion of running a sustainable farm in paradise. And in the meantime, met the woman of his dreams.
What really made me a Virgin Islander was when I married Shelley.
You're really living the expat dream.
Paradise, I believe, is like what you make of it. My advice to expats, don't live on a place, live in a place.
This is it, man. This is the life.